She was considered the most hated woman in America after she got accused of killing her 2-year-old daughter. Now, this case is known to many true crime lovers for many reasons than the actual crime itself. It wasn't the actual crime itself that was the worst part about this case. It was the mother's behavior during and after the investigation and trial. The mother's name is Casey Anthony, and she got accused of killing her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee Anthony. The prosecutor alleged that she used chloroform on her daughter and put duct tape on the child's mouth and nose to prevent her from breathing. But according to the defense lawyer, baez, she drowned in the family pool. But according to a medical examiner that did an interview with CNN News, there were still duct tape present on Kaylee's face when she was found in a trash bag. But before she was even found dead, she was reported missing. It took Casey Anthony a month to report her missing child to the police. And you know what? It wasn't even Casey that did the 911 call in the first place. It was her mother, Cindy Anthony. Cindy Anthony forced her daughter actually to talk to the police. Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Cleo and today we're going to talk about what happened after the trial of Casey Anthony. If you have been living under a rock, in a cave, in the other side of the country, like Nancy Grace perfectly put it, no, but if you haven't really heard about this case, then please go watch my previous video. There I've talked about this case, I've talked about the investigation, and there's some trial clips there. So if you want to know what I'm talking about here, then please go watch my previous video, because this video is what happened after the trial. The reason why I'm making this video is because in my previous one, I made a promise that I would cover Casey Anthony's documentary series called Where the Truth Lies. And here is the thing, right? It costs to watch her series, and I'm not a member of that streaming site, so I don't feel like giving her money for taking advantage of her dead daughter. Now, other crime tubers have watched this series. I would have probably watched it if it was free, knowing I would probably feel extremely sick afterwards. So what I've done is watch another crime tuber talk about this documentary series, and what I heard was not surprising at all. I pretty much knew what was going to be said in this documentary, and all I can say is it wasn't really for Kaylee, her dead daughter. It was for Casey and Casey Anthony herself. But more about that later. Let's talk about what happened after the verdict. Outside the courthouse, it was about presumably 500 people that was outraged about the verdict. They also expressed their anger through social media like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The views on news sites went up about 3.3 million in minutes. That is also one of the reasons why this case is compared to Johnny Depp's and Amber Heard's defamation case, where their case were live streamed in Law and Crime Network, where 500 million people had watched this case. Casey's behavior was compared to Amber Heard's behavior as well. Both of them were considered really bad actors. What they needed to do is actually learn how to cry when it came to others and not only when it came to their self. And after the verdict, a woman in Oklahoma proposed Kaylee's Law in change.org, a petition hosting site. The suggestion was to increase the penalty to a 4th-degree felony for failing to report a missing child within 24 hours of the disappearance or 1 hour of their death. The petition got 1.3 million signatures. Several states did pass Kaylee's Law, and of course, nothing goes through without criticism. There was an article criticizing the time when you have to report your child missing, saying that what if my child, or what if the child is sleeping over at a friend's house and doesn't call home? What if the child is in a summer camp? Do I have to call them every day? Also, what if the child dies in its sleep and you find out several hours later? So what the article is saying is it could send innocent parents to jail. It is also weird saying, what if my child is sleeping over at a friend's house and doesn't call home? Well, that's actually very alarming. I hope you call your child a million times and their friends and their parents till you find out where your child is, because yeah, like I said, that's not good. So the verdict was 5th of July, 2011. She did go to prison because she presented false information for the cops, but she got released 17th of July 2011. And 12th of August, she came back for fraud, and she was on probation for like a year. Casey Anthony's parents said that she wasn't going to serve her probation in their family home. So she was put in a disclosed area or location, due to a lot of death threats. So Florida Department made sure that she couldn't be found. So let's jump to 2020, when a source told a news site called toutch that Casey Anthony is or was writing a book about her life and the tragedy of losing her daughter and what followed afterwards. And also, according to source, she has a story that hasn't been told. In 2015, she tried to start her own photography business. She made an account on Twitter for her company, and according to toutch, it is inactive because she got a lot of messages of people asking about the trial and not actually receiving a lot of photos. In 2020, Casey Anthony launched a private investigation business where she wants to help people that had been wrongly accused and are facing serious legal charges. She wants to mostly help women. Amber Heard wanted to be the face out for people or women of actual abuse. But this big difference between these two women is that Amber is not accused of murder, not what I know of anyway. In 2022, Peacock, which is a streaming site, series streaming site, announced Casey Anthony Where the Truth Lies. When I read about Casey Anthony in articles and remembering what I've seen from documentaries and the investigation, the trial, she does not want to talk about her daughter. She does not. She just wants to move on. And it's not because she misses her. I feel like she gets really annoyed when Kaylee is mentioned. So I feel when she, for example, when she writes a book about the effect after the death of Kaylee, or she writes about Kaylee, the documentary where she's going to speak about Kaylee, I don't feel like it's for her daughter. I feel like it's for herself. Remembering what I saw from the trial, her defense lawyer explaining to the jury that her careless and heartless behavior was actually taught by her parents. But after everything was said and done, she got a verdict. I mean, her parents doesn't want to have anything to do with her, so she's free now. She's actually free. So, but still, I feel like she has the same attitude towards her child. I feel like she's the same person. And her mourning her child, I don't feel like it's sincere. And it makes me question, what did this child do to make her hate her so much? That is what I feel. I saw bits of this documentary of Casey. And she did cry. She did cry for her child. But I don't buy it. I don't. I think she knows what to think about when she has to cry for a child, so it shows that she cares. But in the trial, when she was facing death because of her child, she didn't cry once. She did not cry once for Kaylee. Nothing. But when it came to herself, she tried to cry and sometimes succeeded. And I'm not surprised. I 100% believe that Casey is capable of crying when she feels like she's being treated unfair. I feel like she has understood when she can cry. And it's when she feels like she's the victim and she feels unfairly treated. I 100% believe that Casey doesn't like when people mention her daughter to her, mention Kaylee's name. I only think it's okay when Casey is trying to profit from it. And I truly believe that Kaylee's name is Casey's torment. And that is why she should never ever stop hearing it. She also mentioned in this documentary that her father abused her when she was 8, stopped when she was 12, and then her brother started to abuse her. But he never raped her. And of course, it was the parents' fault. Of course, mostly George, but it was the parents' fault that Kaylee drowned in the family pool. I personally do not believe that Casey Anthony's parents, Cindy and George, have anything to do with Kaylee's death. And I do not believe that George abused her when she was a child. And of course, neither did her brother. When watching this case, when watching this investigation, the trial, when watching Casey Anthony's parents, Cindy and George, I got so sad because I could feel their exhaustion and their heartbreak. It was heartbreaking for me. Cindy, I feel, was suffering the absolute most. It was devastating. It was so sad. I got very, very sad for her. Casey Anthony's parents also made a documentary that is called The Lie Detector Test, where they received questions as, did you have anything to do with Kaylee's death? And to George, did you actually abuse Casey? And I did see just small parts of it. And Cindy got her panic attack, and from all of the stress, I think everything just came back to her, and it got too much on her. It's sad. Look, I have a problem believing a woman that while her child was missing, she went and partying, lived with her boyfriend, a casual life, like nothing had happened. Why should I believe what she's saying? Also, while she was doing all of that, her parents were worried sick because I don't know why Casey went to the parents' house so many times as she did without her child, knowing that probably they would stop her and ask, where is your child? So she was partying, being with her boyfriend, enjoying her damn life, while her parents were worried sick about her daughter. And she knew this. And my other question is, why didn't Casey do a polygraph test? Why didn't she do that? Let's jump to Jose Baez. I think I'm probably butchered his name. His goal was to plant doubt into the jury's head. Because nobody wants to send an innocent young woman to death. But still, how can you believe this woman? Because their parents got death threats. I'm so much about people having their own opinion. I really am. But when it comes to this level, I just feel like how could there been people that actually believed in them just because she got the verdict not guilty? Jose Baez, like I said, was Casey Anthony's lawyer, defense lawyer. He's the reason why she got freed. And like I said, his goal was to plant doubt into the jury's head because she was facing death row. He had answers for everything. For example, Casey Anthony's behavior. Everything was George's fault. Her parents taught her to lie. Her parents taught her to be this way. And that is why she was partying while her child was missing. And that is why it took her a whole damn month to report her child missing. No, her mother had to force her to do that. And like I mentioned earlier, the defense lawyer, Jose Baez, went on that Kaylee was drowned in the family pool. And it was very common for children to drown in the family pool. And how can people buy it? Because her parents got harassed directly after the verdict. They got death threats. I know Casey did as well. And I'm very much for people having their own opinion. I think it's everyone's right to have their own opinion. But in this case, I guess it's just baffling to me. It really is. Because, yeah, Jose's way of handling the trial, it is just, I'm in awe. I'm just in awe. This lawyer has represented people like Harvey Weinstein that has been charged with 11 counts of rape, sexual battery, and more. He has also represented Aaron Hernandez in a double murder trial. He was a 9th grade high school dropout that is now teaching law in Harvard. He likes challenges and therefore he chooses cases that will make headlines. After he was done with Casey, he was done with Casey. He just moved on to the next trial. And Casey Anthony saw her defense team as a family but didn't mention him. And in my opinion, that was actually a very smart move that he just ran away from there. Because, yeah, who knew what she would accuse him of? For me, Jose Baez is a dangerous lawyer because he chooses to defend criminals, in my opinion. And I haven't heard about all his cases, but it seems like he has a type. The thing is, he gets the work done, and that is what makes him dangerous because he chooses, in my opinion, the wrong side. So, yeah, but does it make him a bad lawyer? No. He has won cases, so he's not dumb. He knows what he's doing, and he knows what works for him. And that is what actually makes him pretty dangerous, in my opinion. And we're done with Casey Anthony, people. Now we're moving on to the next trial. I think I'm over my head with this case that I'm watching now. We are in day 25 or 26 in this case I'm watching, and it's about Karen Reed. Her husband is a cop, and where they live, there's a lot of families that work with, that are cops, all right? And she was dropping off her husband outside of an after party. And like I said, just cops. And then he never came home. She woke up, panicked, and she went out to try and find her husband. And he was found dead outside of his friend's house, which was filled with cops. So this is like some people say it's a frame investigation. She's being framed. She's being accused of murder. and these cops are also getting accused of murdering this man. And I have to say, it is beyond bizarre. This case is beyond bizarre. So the state is representing the cops, of course, and she has excellent lawyers. I'm very happy for her. She has excellent lawyers. And from what I've seen, the state lawyer, it is a joke. It is a joke. So what I'm going to do is, when I've seen, because I'm at part 2 now, okay? We're actually in day 25 or 26. I'm going to make a little summary of day 1 and day 2, just to explain in a way how this is looking, because it is messed up. It's so messed up. From what I've seen of just these 2 days, in a way, I do not feel like she is going to prison, because that would bring too much commotion. And the cops have messed up and tampered so much with the evidence. It's so broken. So I feel, and I hope, I don't know what the future holds, but I feel like she won't go to jail. But it's going to be so hard covering this case, because it is so much. It is so much bizarre. It is so much dirty cops, guys. It is insane. But yeah, that is what's coming next. So I usually like to take cases that is already done, but this one hooked me. I've heard it long before, but I just wasn't interested. I had other cases in mind back then. So now I'm at day 2. So this is going to take a while. Maybe in between I'll release another case just to fill the gap while I watch this entire trial. Guys, if you did enjoy this, please leave a like and subscribe today for more. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And yeah, have a good one. Take care.